CNBC-TV18 Weekender, only on CNBC-TV18.
Hello and welcome to this edition of CNBC-TV18's Weekender. My name is Megha Vishwanath. Today we caught up with someone who grew up thinking that he wanted to be a musician but ended up working for 12 years in the enterprise software industry until he decided to hit refresh when he met Satya Nadella. We're talking about Anant Maheshwari, President of Microsoft India, and over the next 30 minutes, we decode what his plans are for the tech giant's India operations, and we also find out what he is all about outside the boardroom. Anant, thank you so much for being with us on CNBC-TV18's Weekender. Let me start by asking you about your journey. You joined Microsoft in 2016, September. What's been your journey so far?
It is quite a journey. When you say that it's just been 1.5 years, I ask myself, only 1.5 years? That's the only time.
That's how long it seemed.
Yeah, maybe I should count months and say, I'm just about 4 months or 3 months away from completing two.
Yes.
But it's been amazing. And I say this to my friends all the time, that the 13.5 plus years that I spent at Honeywell seem like a blur in the rearview mirror. After the amazing time that I've had in the last couple of years at Microsoft. The 2 years have been fantastic, and in kind of applying the mantra of being in a great position in a good industry, I truly believe lucky to be here.
What do you think is the biggest highlight so far at Microsoft for you?
I think it's the people. I kind of got enamored by that even before I took the decision because of the people that I met while I was taking that decision. And amongst the people, while it would be, I think it would be expected that there'll be a lot of very smart people in the company.
Right.
What's really been amazing and a revelation is what Satya calls as the growth mindset and the learning ability.
Yes.
This is a company that has enough accolades and enough achievements in its 4 decades of existence. And even today, you see some of these people who've been here more than 2 decades completely reinventing themselves and learning. So for me to say I'm here 2 years and therefore I'm learning, it's kind of easy. But for folks who've been here more than 2 decades and still say I'm learning is just amazing. It inspires me to say so much more to go.
All right, Anant, so I'm going to, take away from what you just said, and I believe in one of the previous interviews, you've actually said that Satya Nadella has kind of brought this culture of not know it all, but learn it all. How much of that do you see at Microsoft India?
Completely, and it starts from the top. I still remember a couple of years back when I was meeting Satya for him and me to take a decision as to whether I should join or not. Right from that meeting, I was just so impressed by the ability for even a guy like him to have that learn-it-all culture about India, about Microsoft. And as he painted his vision of where the company was going. I see that every day in the company today with customers, with partners, with all the leaders at the company. On a specific instance, I would say that let's say we are talking to a customer who's been with us for the last 2 decades or more and have seen Microsoft in a very different format. Yes. For them to say at the end of the meeting, I see a completely different Microsoft today. You guys truly talk about where you can learn along with us and where you can learn along with the partners who you're actively bringing to work with us. So to me, that comment says a lot more than us trying to believe that we learn it all.
What you just said and right now narrated this incident, that brings me to a question that I am personally very curious about. What was that first meeting with Satya Nadella like? When you were deciding or still contemplating of joining Microsoft India. Talk to us about that.
See, when you're meeting a legend like that, it is definitely something that you look forward to. And I was looking forward to meeting Satya because by the time I met him, he already had established the turnaround journey of Microsoft globally. Everybody was talking about it, about the culture that he had set in the company and everything that the company was doing very differently. I have to say my first impression was I just felt the humility and the empathy of the guy. He walked out of his cabin and said, Anand, come, let's have a chat. And I just looked at him and said, this was just amazing.
This was when you were still with Honeywell?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was there to have that conversation with him. And then we had this meeting, which within, I think in about 15 minutes, turned into a very nice session where he was on the whiteboard and I was talking about ideas, and we were discussing India and what is possible in India in the context of Microsoft and in the context of India.
Right.
And I walked out at the end of 60 minutes saying that was just an amazing conversation. I never knew that the time passed so quickly.
Okay. And how much of that whiteboard conversation has turned into reality? And by that, what I'm asking is, when you said that you spoke about India, let me ask you here, what role does Microsoft India play, in the Microsoft global story?
Many ideas, many ideas that were really the start or the germination of new things that we discussed at that point in time. If I look back, last 18 months, a lot has happened already. I think one of the key ideas that we spoke of at that point is about the new India, about the startups, about the unicorns that are coming in India today. And the fact that we had a lot more to do with the unicorns, and if I look back of the 18 months, the kind of work that we've done, that's been a very significant pivot in the journey of Microsoft India. The second big pivot, I would say, is really bringing the power of all of Microsoft assets on the ground in India for the benefit of the country.
Yes.
Satya is passionate to contribute back in a way where it truly brings to life our mission to empower every organization and every individual on the planet to achieve more. And that goes for the country India. And how we are bringing all our technologies in play for sectors like education, agriculture, healthcare, skilling in the country to solve big problems that India has. Wasn't a dream that he had to say, listen, we can really contribute back to India. So those two, I would say, are the big ones that I would point out from that whiteboard conversation.
So let me then get deeper in this. Talk to us about some of the products that were launched specifically for the India market. Of course, the last time I caught up with you was at the Microsoft Kaizala launch. Give us an update on that, and are you looking at developing more such India-specific products?
So I wouldn't call them India-specific, but starting in India.
Yes. Okay.
Inspired by India is the way I would really call them. And Kaizala is clearly one of those.
Right.
Because if I go
Skype Lite, would that be another product?
Yeah, so a lot of them. But let me talk about Kaizala. I think it's very dear to a lot of us who think about India and what it represents for the world. So in India, 500 million people go to work every day. Maybe less than 10% or maybe 20% of them have email IDs. And of those people, 50 to 100 million people who have email IDs, a very small proportion of them use that as the primary way of doing work. How work gets done digitally in India is on the mobile. It's through social chat platforms. And we realized that we were really repurposing many of the consumer chat platforms to get work done.
Right.
And Kaizala was therefore born to really address that need of 500 million people to say you can get work done on a social chat platform, but you get a lot more than just chat. And you get a lot of capability in managing it. Kaizala was born there, and I can say 6 months from the time that we've been doing it for a while now, it has been dramatic in the uptake that we've seen, and now Kaizala has gone international.
Right.
It's already in Africa, it's in Southeast Asia, it's being explored in Latin America. So all geographies that look very similar to India, and the scale of India helps them. Other, I would say, offerings that again would have debuted in India but would have gone out would be Sangam, would be a lot of the work that we do in artificial intelligence in healthcare, which has again gone global. When we see the stuff that we're doing in agriculture, it's again going global. So I would say the ability to solve big problems in India and then taking those learnings across the world is really the flywheel that I see starting to work now.
All right, Anant, I want you to hold that thought. On that note, we are going to take a quick break, but on the other side, we're going to talk about everything that Microsoft is doing in the digital transformation mission. Stay tuned.
CNBC-TV18 Weekender, only on CNBC-TV18.